Want to know why? Ask how. Howard the Humongous. We've just been through a strange political landslide in New Hampshire. Donald Trump has beaten his opponents almost 3-1. Bernie Sanders has beaten Hillary Clinton almost 2-1. What in the world is going on here? This is a very different kind of election from all of the elections we've had in the past 30 or 40 years. It's an authenticity revolution that we're witnessing. This is the election of I meant what I said and I said what I meant, and elephants faithful 100%, to use the words from Dr. Seuss. What in the world is an authenticity revolution? Well, we've been aching for a lack of authenticity in our candidates since at least 1990. Even Barack Obama lacks that powerful authenticity. So the question is, what the hell is authenticity? Authenticity you have in your body, you and I have this, you have two massively powerful computational structures. Structures for learning about the world, figuring things out, taking care of everyday things and long-term things. One of those systems is the one in the left side of your brain. It's your verbal reasoning center. It's the center where logic comes from. The other center is you feel it in your gut. Actually, it's in your limbic system. It's your emotional system. Now, a lot of research has demonstrated that when you take people whose emotional system is knocked out by physical damage to the brain, and you give them a problem to solve, even though their reason is intact, they make huge mistakes in solving the problem. Huge, unbelievable mistakes. When you take people whose reason faculties are knocked out, but whose emotional faculties are working well, they actually do a better job at adjusting to new problems. However, each of these centers, the center of reason and the center of logic, when on its own, makes big mistakes. But put the two of them together, put the heart and the head together, and you get a much more powerful truth machine. A machine for sorting through the problems of the moment and finding the solutions, or the long-term problems and finding the solutions. Authenticity is when your gut, your emotional brain, has been processing something for a long time and feels it has a handle, a solid handle on a truth. It is when your logical brain, your rational brain, has also been processing those same problems for a long time and has come to a conclusion about what it feels is the truth. And authenticity is when those two computational centers, those two brains, the emotional brain and the verbal brain, the rational brain, agree powerfully on something. Now, you know all about dominance cues. You know all about alphas. An alpha comes into a group and manages to show more dominance cues than anybody else in the room. Guess what authenticity does for you? It gives you confidence. It gives you conviction. It gives you dominance cues. And there is a strong chance that in this election, we're not just going to be voting for people on the basis of their policies. We're going to be voting for them on the basis of their body language and the tones of their voice. We're going to be voting for people on the basis of the emotional cues, the body language that they're sending to us. I've just been listening to the latest Republican debate. The voices of all the candidates sound high, reedy, and uncertain. It's only after the first 20 minutes that these guys began to get a full head of steam and began to sound more on top of things, as if they had greater conviction, as if the heart and head were aligned together. But the person who always shows the greatest alignment of heart and head is a guy whose facts tend to be all wrong, but he's obviously thought things through, one nonetheless, and that's Donald Trump. So he comes across as having authenticity. You know when you listen to him, you are hearing what he actually thinks and feels is right, even if his facts are wildly off base. And you see that more than you see it in Marco Rubio or Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz has a high, reedy little voice, and his body language makes him look like the epitome of sleaze. Marco Rubio, after he's been pummeled on by Chris Christie, after he's been called the boy in the bubble, has a tendency to look to us like he's small. The camera shoots him from above. It makes it obvious that he's shorter than the rest of the candidates. And in studies of presidential elections, the taller candidate almost always wins. That's body language, big time. So If you have convictions, you give off signals of confidence, you give off dominance cues. There's one other thing that's supremely important in giving a sense of authenticity. You have to be able to give a simple message, and it has to be an emotionally potent message. And the most emotionally potent lessons or messages for us human beings are messages about who the bad guy is, who you have permission to hate. Donald Trump makes it very obvious that he gives you permission to hate all kinds of people. He gives you permission to hate the Mexican government. He gives you permission to hate immigrants. He gives you permission to hate ISIS. Some of these permissions to hate may be on target, even though they come from a crazy part of the brain, the emotional brain. And some may be way off base. You need the rational brain to sort through these things and determine and fact check your emotions about who can be a bad guy, who may be threatening you. There's no question in my mind that ISIS is threatening us, but that's an issue for another time. Then you go to Hillary and Bernie. Hillary can't sum up anything simply. There is nothing she stands for that you can put in a sentence or a simple paragraph. But she is strong. She gives off a body language of total confidence and being able to handle absolutely any situation that comes her way with strength. Bernie, on the other hand, not only has the strength of conviction, but he has enemies. He says that our enemies are the billionaire class. Our enemies are the super rich. And again, fact check your enemies. Sometimes somebody that it's convenient to hate, it may not be correct to hate. You could be doing away, in some cases, with your greatest benefactors, but we've gone into this on previous occasions. Simplicity, the ability to sum up who you can direct your anger at, is a vital part of politics. It has been ever since the days of the Romans, a long, long time ago. So this is a revolution. It is an authenticity revolution. There is no question that Bernie Sanders' heart and head are agreed on his perception of the world. There is no question that Donald Trump's heart and head are in agreement on his perception of the world. The other candidates, not so certain. It's just that Hillary Clinton gives off strong body language and voice cues of total command. We are in the I meant what I said, and I said what I meant revolution, and we are judging people by the extent, we are judging presidential candidates by the extent to which we really believe that they mean what they say. This is Howard the Humongous, speaking to you from the future. It's your job and my job to make. Or, want to know why? Want to know why? Ask how. And now for the sleazy, slimy, sneaky, but I think I'm getting to find it easier, little tiny off button.